every day.
What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast. And we have the one, the only, the Traveling Fisherman with us. But before we get into it any deeper, let's take care of some business real quick. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Lurch's Lures. Lurch's Lures has a micro chatterbait that we have been throwing a lot here of late. It is a hand tied from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Largemouth, smallmouth cannot resist it. Throw it, smash them, go get you some Lurch's Lures, and tell them that we sent you. And so, with that being said, I am Colin Burnett.
I'm Pappy J. Hey guys, real quick, I just want to do a real quick moment of silence. Everybody knows what's going on over there in Iran and across the seas there, but we got four soldiers that lost their lives, and I'm gonna call their names out. Then we'll do just a little quick moment of silence for them for to honor them, and because it's people like that right there that puts their life on the line that keeps us doing what we do. But I'm gonna go ahead and give them out. The Private Isabella Gonzalez, she was 19 years old. Sergeant Angelus or Angel S. Rampsad, she was 28. First Lieutenant Tyler James Finn, he's 25. Sergeant Michael Emmanuel Swinton, 30. If you don't mind, let's have a moment of silence. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Hey, thank you guys for that. Thank you for honoring our men and women over in the military. That carries again that keeps our freedom free. Traveler, how have you been, buddy?
Good, my friend. Doing well. Thank you for asking.
Man, it's been. I mean, I've been watching you and following you, and we all know you up there in the northern states. How's it been for you?
It's been great. Another new experience, and just really taking in everything that this beautiful state has to offer, and it's been a little difficult at times to fish, but, been finding them, getting on them, and, just having a blast up here.
Oh heck yeah! So what's the craziest thing you have seen thus far?
A sunrise at like 4 in the morning.
Oh hell, that yeah, I would say so.
Well, I tell you this: the only time that Pappy would see that traveler is when we're out working and it happens to hit 4 o'clock.
You got
Right.
that right. Unless I'm going fishing or hunting. I mean, and that's debatable. I know what Colin's fixing to say, so that's debatable. It really depends on a lot of on the situation. But yeah, we went to ICAST what 2 weeks ago,
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
Yeah.
ago, I guess. And honestly, it was a great experience. I mean, it's definitely a lot different from the classic. I was kind of thinking, but I was kind of thinking the classic before I went into ICAST, but maybe different. But it's overwhelming. I mean,
Well, it's
there's a lot of
well,
vendors.
you take the classic Expo and put it on steroids,
Mm,
and that's what it is. So
steroids times 10.
yeah, but
Yeah, it was
then
pretty
Yeah,
but
overwhelming.
next year,
yeah, it is.
Pappy, we're gonna have somebody that's gonna be out there with us. Hopefully, good Lord willing, we're going to we're going to be having the old traveling fisherman down there with us. So hopefully
Man, that
everything
would
works
be
out. So
great.
I'm excited about that. And
For
and
sure.
so well maybe hey Pappy, maybe this is we need to just buy like Traveler like dinner or something like that, and we can we take our fishing
We
gear down there, and we'd be like, hey, I need you to put us on some good Florida bass. Let's see what you do down here. And
follow him around like a little lost puppy. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying? Yeah.
yeah.
Oh well.
I mean,
I mean, he ain't even got to take me fishing for that. I still follow him around like a little lost puppy.
And you know what? Hold off the dinner. I want 2 koikis each.
Hey, we can
I,
do that. Speaking of which, yeah, we need to talk afterwards. But yeah, we can do that. We can do that.
yeah.
Mhm.
But with that being said, though, Traveler, what is it that I've watched? There ain't no telling how many lives that I've watched.
Yeah.
But what is it from from Maine and it's if and I can't say what is it like. What is fishing in Maine compared to like other places that you've gone? What kind of compares to the fishing style there in Maine from where you have been in the past?
Like freshwater stuff, it's similar to a lot of the spots. The one thing up here, it's depending on where you're fishing, the water can be a lot
Yeah,
clearer, so that's a little bit different. And early days, that wasn't one of the confident techniques that I was into. Fishing really clear water, finesse style, but just over the years, just really honing in on that and learning it. And for the most part, it's pretty similar to like Tennessee, Vermont, stuff like that. Places that some of the creeks and streams and
yeah,
rivers. One of the thing I didn't catch that I still got time. I think a little bit are these striper. When they were running up in the rivers, that was a little bit different. Combat fishing. Wall to wall people. But other than that, it's pretty similar in a lot of ways. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's a matter of having that arsenal and being able to fish finesse, or I wouldn't even say that dirtier water. Some of the spots that I've fished, pretty much the same as Florida to Georgia and
Yeah.
Tennessee and Texas.
Well, and I don't know. I don't know what the name of the place that you was at, but one place like I didn't realize like how clear the water was, because you had fished there like early in the morning, and then the sun finally kind of
Oh
got up
yeah.
over the trees,
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
and you could actually see that ledge kind of to it was kind of to like the at a 10, 11 o'clock
Yep.
that ran. I mean, it ran a long ways that you could see, and it came off the bank.
Mm-hmm.
is that the
And
same? Is that the same spot? It almost looked like a creek.
No, that was
uh, not um, not the, I don't think that one. This the where I was talking about is more like a lake
lake.
type area.
Yeah.
Um, and
Hmm.
and then while he was fishing there, he had somebody that was swimming right in front to the right of
With
him
the
that was
with the
coming.
Oh,
dog.
see,
And
I
so
missed that one. Yeah.
yeah, and uh and if it would have been Pappy traveling, they would have been playing dodge the lure. Just
I mean, if it wasn't for the
And
dog
that,
and me being on live and this being a really small town, it may have been different. But
and that would have been for fun.
yeah, yeah,
it's just like situational awareness for some
Yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Now,
I mean,
what the one I'm thinking of is there was a live that where you was fishing at, and and it kind of took me back to my roots. Really, it was almost like a creek, a deep creek. Matter of fact, I think you caught a smallie at that time.
mhm.
Um, and it kind of went back out. It was kind of like a deep pocket right there in front of you.
Yep.
Beautiful, beautiful, man. I mean, it's just it was beautiful. But anyways, um, uh, that was one of my favorite places you've been. I guess because it was kind of remote, right?
Yeah. Well, if the
a
one I'm
lot of
thinking of
that stuff up
was
there is remote though, isn't it?
was it like was a lot of rocks and like
Yes, yes,
I never
Yes.
talked. Yeah, it was a campground, but it was a private campground, and it was, it was a couple-hour drive from here.
Okay. Okay.
It was, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of remote.
Yeah. That was a beautiful place. But one question I do got is, I know you said it's been kind of tough, but what has been? I mean, what has been the technique that you've kind of had to go back and, or maybe even a new technique that you have really relied on?
Um, you know, the one spot, because of it being so clear and pretty shallow and a cleaner bottom,
Hmm.
I go to the Ned rig, and normally someone's gonna go, "Oh my God, really? He uses a Ned rig?"
Yeah.
You want to catch fish? I'm just saying, you have to
Exactly.
adapt to it. You have to
Yes.
adapt to it, and
Hmm.
that's something I kind of came back to at some
Hmm.
of these spots, because of how clear this water is, how shallow and how clean the bottom is, and it can allow me to do that.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's kind of been one of my most successful lures up here, in those situations. Um, and then other than that, ultralight is another thing that I've fallen back on, because again, a
Hmm.
lot of these smaller bodies of water,
Hmm.
shallower bodies of water, and these smaller fish, and I've been pretty successful with that as well.
Because
Now,
I guess from the transition from Florida, going and fishing like these little small interior lakes and stuff like that, uh, from a darkish water, not being able to see too far out. I mean, or too far down, but going from, I guess you could say, power fishing. From that to that is a huge transition.
Yeah, and it can be, especially, that's why I say really, broaden your box, learn all these
Hmm.
different things. Don't be afraid of that, because like I said, younger days, we're talking many years ago, there was guys
Yeah.
that were finesse fishing and ultralight fishing before I really understood that,
Right.
and we made fun of them, or we never got into it, but not realizing that was the guy that was always catching all the fish at the end of the day,
yeah.
you know.
And it's interesting you say that because I mean it's almost like I ain't gonna say like trout fishing, but you take the little ultralight out there and and instead of catching crappie or brim or trout, you're actually fishing for bass, right?
I mean, sometimes, not always. You know,
Right.
I would say out of everything that I use over the years traveling, I would say the most different species I've probably
Hmm.
caught on an ultralight versus anything else.
Interesting.
Really.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, have you had said something about the Ned rig, and and that's one of them things. I think that people kind of that's a bait that people kind of sleep on nowadays. I can remember
Hmm.
what 10, 15 years ago. I mean, and it may be even longer than that when the Ned rig came out. That I mean, that's just a bait that you can go out and you can throw, and it does. I don't think it matters where you're at in the country, but you could take that bait and go catch fish, and it may be bass, it may be, I've caught crappie on them, I've caught catfish on them, and you can go out and just I seen an interview that the guy that designed the Ned rig said he wanted a bait that he can go out and catch 100 fish a day, and he didn't care what it did. And he designed that, and you could go and do that easily with the Ned rig. And I think
Absolutely.
people over they sleep on it just because there's new baits like the koi key or the fireball that comes out, and they see these guys uh, catching these bass on it, and they kind of fall away from kind of the traditional way of going out and fishing.
Right. Absolutely.
So
Well, I've got a question here from one of the apps that don't give a name. It's just from iBass 360. It's this person asked, "Have you ever used any spoons there?" I'm assuming there in Maine.
No, not here. I mean, I haven't used a spoon. I don't even remember the last time I used one. Texas, maybe. I don't even know. It's been a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah, heck yeah. So, what is there anything different that you've caught in Maine versus anywhere else that you've been?
Not really. I mean, I've caught everything that I've caught up here. I've pretty much caught, everywhere else traveling. I caught my PB crappie up here.
Oh,
2.05. So that
Oh
was
wow,
nice.
that's a massive crappie.
And I mean, I got into this big pocket of them, and I was just using a Mega Bass, Vision 110 Junior, and just it was a stellar day for crappie. But there was
Yeah.
yeah.
bass mixed up in that. There were smallies, there was perch, there were northern. It was a pretty epic day.
Speaking of smallies, I mean, so being from the time you've been in Maine, how many smallies have you caught?
Can't even tell you. And
It, well, the thing is though, you with being up there is is it easier to catch a smallmouth up there than it is a largemouth?
um, I would probably yes. I mean, at least the spots that I've fished. I've seen other
Mhm.
Right.
people. Well, the one day I drove and met another, creator up here, whatever, and it was a mix. It was a mix that day, but I probably caught more largemouth, than anything that day. But again, I think it really varies on where you're fishing, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's kind of how it is here. Um, to where we can go if we're in more like if we're going to Chickamauga, we know 9 times out of 10 it's going to be we're going to be catching majority largemouth. Um, now if we go,
Unless you hit a few spots that we know
yeah, there
that.
is some spots that you can catch smallies, but if we're wanting to go and actually target smallmouth here and be able to get onto a bunch of them, we uh, we will hit the north end of Nickajack, and it because it's more of a river system that will actually run through. It runs from from the dam through like downtown Chattanooga. So if anybody's down by comes to Chattanooga and they go, let's say they go to the aquarium, actually that area stretch probably what, Pappy? It's what, about 15, 16 mile stretch or something like that.
It's a good stretch. Yeah, it's a pretty
That
decent
is
stretch.
it's and that it is a river system to where you can go and kind of hit your points and stuff to where it, especially if they're pulling current and there's current
mhm.
coming through, and being able to kind of hit those little eddies or whatever, or hit those the little rock mounds, or and to where you know that those fish are going to be there when it's when there's no current, it just scatters them. And
Yeah.
so
Now,
I
I
seen. Go ahead, Pappy.
go ahead. Now, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just trying to say. I thought you had stopped, but anyways, traveler. So on one, well, actually, it was several of your lives when you first got there. You was fishing like a, I guess it would was it a like a river
Yeah, there was one place that he
off a
was.
pier that there was a lot of running water. It was you and another guy. You was throwing it looked like you was throwing a swim bait, um, maybe targeting. Well, actually, you know what? You was targeting some striper because you had said it in your
Mhm.
live. Yeah, you guys was. Can you talk a little bit about that little area right there?
Yeah, it's just it's just this dam, and all the stripers kind of come up there, and they got this big line on the rocks that they painted. Once they get up to a certain point, you got
Hmm.
to leave them be, because it's obviously they got to go up there and do their thing, and
Right.
but it's similar to it was kind of similar to fishing parts of Alaska for salmon in a way, but
Hmm.
because we were just throwing the big. Uh, lures or the baits up there and let and just reeling them down. And some people were using live mackerel and stuff, and or not mackerel. What was it?
It was one of your swim baits. That
Yeah,
was one of them. That was one of them. You
it's
was throwing
the
multiple stuff.
the NLBN the stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And other guys were using live stuff. And
Mhm.
again, it was kind of the luck of the draw. We'd sit and wait, and they'd watch the birds, and when the birds kind of were doing their thing, they were chasing the bait. The fish would get all amped up, but it just I made my way down there a couple times, and every time just it didn't work out.
Now, is
Yeah.
it on the other side of that dam? Is it like a reservoir, or is it a lake, or
I think it just keeps running up. I think to like another
okay,
river
okay,
section. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I'm not
I
sure
bet
how.
it kind of does like what
a
the
koi?
TVA does
Y-
with all the dams and stuff. That
Yeah, yeah, but a smaller version.
yeah,
That's. I was kind of wondering. I had meant to ask you that on one of your lives, but I didn't. Honestly, I didn't want to bother you because you look you was trying pretty hard to.
Man, you always that's what it's about.
But no, it was really interesting. So is it deep right there? I think it was there like a bridge or something underneath that
Yeah,
bridge.
I think they might have said it was like maybe to 20 or 30, right around
Oh
there.
wow.
I
Okay.
think because of all that that water coming down and
Right.
everything, and then
yeah.
Yeah.
it kind of like evened out a little bit. So you just have this little pocket, and
And it empties out into a bigger lake, or is it
yeah,
all? It
yeah.
does.
Well, and then it goes to the ocean at that point. You know,
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
so
really?
that's that brackish. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So, um, so in that area, because I don't know if I don't remember that live, but so in that area though,
All right, guys.
oh, you're good, you're good. In that area, is it? Can you get a mixture of some saltwater fish and freshwater?
I don't know what I don't remember what the guys were saying, but everybody that I met down there, all the pictures I seen, it was just strictly striper.
Yeah. Well, see, and I love catching some striper in some running water because one stripers are fun fish to catch anyways. But
Hmm.
then when you give them to where they have like another little advantage over you to
That
with a
current.
little bit of current, man, it is fun.
I
Now,
mean,
was there?
I was able to catch one in Canada, so at least
Yeah.
I got to experience it with some current.
Well, see, and that's one thing. That was what I was going to ask you here coming up was you and your wife have like when you go to an area and stuff. I really like the fact because you just don't really stay in that little that general area to where most people may think, well, he's in this part of Maine. You have gone to Canada
Three
and
times.
you
Three
spent.
times.
Yeah, and I was about to say, and you spent each time you spend 3-4 days up there or something like that, and so you get to kind of go and see a lot of different things, and then
Mhm.
uh, we were talking before a couple of days ago, and you were saying that after the podcast and stuff that y'all are going to be going to Boston, and so are you taking any rods to Boston?
Of course, of course.
So, and I have to ask. So, have you happened to catch any? And I know this. I go when I go to different places. I have to try out the cuisine, and when I think of Maine, the only thing I think of is lobster. So, have you been able to catch you some nice lobster and be able to put it in your belly?
I caught one out of a tank. I got to pick it myself. But
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
lot lot
So,
of lot of good seafood up here. I mean, because like where we live, the town we're in, they said it's considered like the Napa Valley of oysters, and they're getting them
oh
out of the
really?
river. They're getting them out of the river right here. And there's a couple different varieties, and like they're usually getting brought in either every day or like every other day. So I mean,
Oh
Man.
wow.
freshest I've ever had, and the best
So
I've ever had.
what about clam chowder?
Not that's Boston.
That's
That
Boston.
Boston.
That's
Okay.
going to be coming up. That's
And
coming up.
we got
That's kind
seafood.
of like what.
We got seafood chowder here, but the
Oh,
clam
Yeah.
chowder
really?
is Boston.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So, what is the biggest takeaway though? Because, and I know that I've seen you do it at a couple places, and I know you're going to do a video on it. Um, but what is the biggest takeaway that you've had in Maine? So, and it could be from like what's the biggest difference or whatever. What has been the biggest thing that you've taken away from being up there fishing and the mindset and stuff that you've had to have to be able to catch the fish that you've caught? um what has been that?
Um, I just think kind of like the ability to have caught the amount of fish I've caught with
Yeah.
being able to adapt to all these different situations, and which I don't think I ever would have achieved if I didn't have the knowledge I did, but from traveling so much and learning over the years and always
Right.
trying things. Like I said, it's like I consider myself an okay fisherman. You know what I mean? And it was kind of neat to come up here and to be able to experience these different bodies of water and just different situations and being able to adapt to it and say, okay, I'm going to go into it, trying these different things and then seeing all these different fish that you're catching. It's pretty neat, to be able to
Yeah.
put yourself to the test and then see that result.
Yeah. So and that's one thing that I've really, in which I've told you multiple times, that I really enjoy, because with all the traveling, it makes you into a diverse fisherman, to where you're having to, because could you go and use some of the techniques up there that you use down in Florida? Of course, and you can catch fish, but you're having to change things up and go to, like what you said, to go to the smaller baits to be able to make that adjustment. And and that's one thing that I really enjoy being able to see, is you going through and kind of, as watching your lives, you can kind of see like your mindset, and after watching you for so many years, you can kind of tell like, all right, Traveler's fixing to make a move and change something up. And it's to me, I enjoy watching, because usually most of the time when you make that decision and you do change something, if it's lures or if it's a spot, you tend to catch something, uh, not, maybe not right away, but I mean, it does, what you are changing, it does making a big play a big role
Right.
on how you're going to be catching.
Sure.
So, have you taken like the Ned rig or a micro jig and stuff like that, and thrown it into those river systems, like to where you do have that heavier current?
Um, the Ned, yeah, I think I was throwing that at the one spot like we were camping where it was like on that big like rock bed, not
Yeah,
the one you've seen recently, but like this was probably going back at least a month ago, if not more, probably over a month ago for sure.
yeah,
And those little pockets, and right where those falls came down, it kind of evened out a little bit, and then it was real deep, and then it got real shallow up into all those different rocks, and kind of just
right.
threw that Ned rig in there, and it was successful. I think between the Ned rig and the ultralight is what got me the most fish. I think the ultralight probably got me more fish there than
Yeah.
anything.
See, because like here when we're fishing, and people may think that it sounds crazy and stuff, but on Chickamauga, we throw a lot of the micro jigs and stuff, and but even on Nickajack, we will throw the Ned rig micro jigs a lot when we are targeting smallmouth, and
Mm-hmm.
um, and so what we found to help us out, and you can, I want you to uh, put your twist and stuff in it as well. But like here, when you're throwing it, let's say on a um, like a river system or something, anything that has good current coming through, you want to throw it out and kind of let the bait sink, but you want it to come down the river on a slack line.
Mm.
Um, and the reason why we say that we do it is with having it on, like, not, you don't want it to have like a lot of slack, because then it's going to get tangled up into the
Sure.
rocks and stuff, but you want it to have the line to have a bow in it,
Yep.
and that's allowing the bait to kind of come down that river system right there in front of you, and it's allowing it to look more natural
Natural.
coming
Yep.
down. And if it's a
Yeah.
tight line, then all it's doing is it's just kind of pendling, so that
Right.
bait's turning, and as it's turning, it's not looking natural to a
Right.
fish. So, have you done something like that up there?
No, like I said, I was kind of unconventional with a little bit more faster current like that. I was using like these little Joe flies. They look
Yeah.
like flies, and I don't know if you know what Joe fly is, right? And it's got the little blade
Mm-hmm.
on it, like a
Yeah.
spinner bait. I was using those and just the mini jerk baits, and you go really on that fast moving. I mean, it was fast enough, but it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was working. So
So,
Yeah,
I
well, and the thing with what Colin was saying too, on the slack line, I mean, you if you let it if you let the current take the bait down, it it mimics a lot. I mean, it does what the bait's supposed to do, whether it's
mhm.
fluttering down, doing whatever. But it's a great it's a great concept behind it. But like when we started throwing the mini chatterbaits, I was really surprised. I mean, those things are like throwing off as much vibration as a half ounce or a 3/4 ounce. I mean, it is insane what Lurch did to those mini chatterbaits to really push the water and to cause that swim
vibration.
bait,
Yeah.
yeah, the vibration in the swim bait just to
Yeah,
really react, and which might be something good to throw like up there,
I
just
do. I
Yeah, I was
throw
about
the
to say,
mini.
I've seen him throw the micro. I mean, it's not a Lurch's, but
Mhm. The
the
flashback,
micro Z Man.
the
Yeah,
little, it's super small, but that thing's been solid too.
yeah.
yeah.
So, I did see something at iCast that I thought of you, and I don't know what the price point of these things, but Z Man is coming out with a uh,
Had
which
to
I know
change
that
hats
they.
getting ready.
Oh yeah, look at he's getting wild now, guys. But they're coming out with a tungsten chatterbait, which I know that they've had a tungsten chatterbait, but they've
Mhm.
changed the bait keeper up on it. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
we're about to get poured on. I don't know if y'all heard that,
Mm-hmm.
um, but they and that's and I think the chatterbait that they came out with, um, that has that a different. It looks like it's the ribbed. Um, it's ribbed coming down instead of, because you know how like the older chatterbaits would have that rib.
Wire.
Not, it's not really ribbed. It's just kind of smooth,
Yep.
and then it has that little tail up and stuff to be able to catch everything. But this
Mm-hmm.
is and I don't know if that's how they had to do it with when they poured the tungsten or whatever, but it did have a different bait keeper, and I was like, all right, I know that when they finally get that out, that that old Traveling is going to be grabbing a few of them,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
um, what?
Favorite bait to throw, man. My favorite lure to throw.
Well, the thing
Absolutely.
is that's a bait that you've been able to take all over the country, and you've been able to change the colors up or whatever with it, and be able to catch. I mean, you've caught, I mean, some big old fish off of it. Um,
I
and
caught my
so,
PB with Fast Eddie in Florida on the mini
yeah,
jack.
well, that's what I was going to say. I was thinking, I was just now thinking, I was like, I think that his PB was on it. Do do you think that that throwing like, because I'm trying to think of like how, like when we see like Bass go or MLF go up north, I mean they're throwing those Ned rigs, then those little like 2.8 little Kytex or whatever, the little swim baits and stuff. But they're utilizing forward facing sonar on that. Um, but is has there been a bait that you've used up there that's kind of surprised you that you've been able to be able to catch fish on?
Great question.
Not really.
Yeah,
I mean, well, I mean, if anything, I'd say that the Ned rig maybe, but like I said, it was one of those things that I just knew that this was the right situation. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I've thrown the jackhammer up here. I've thrown the jerk baits. I've thrown Senkos, and I mean, really, um, it's been the Ned rig and the jerk baits. I think have been like and the ultralight.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and really,
Mhm.
the go tos and the most probably successful I've been.
Yeah,
Sweet.
and because
Uh,
go ahead, Pappy.
well, I was just going to do a quick thing for our salute to valor. Don't mean to cut you off, but this is pretty important part of our deal. But our salute to valor is brought to you by Waze Energy. Waze Energy is a huge supporter for our men and women in uniform, and they are. I mean, the owner. Actually, all the owners are all veterans, and they have some great product. When you're feeling down and sluggish, just drink Waze. Hey, you can find them on go to the website. It's at waze.com. Anyways,
Yeah,
you can look them up, and they will absolutely bring it straight to your door. Not them, but the mail carrier. So but it's great stuff. It's great stuff. But our salute to valor this week is Staff Sergeant Tristan Blevins. He's in the Army, 17th Artillery Brigade. He's attached to. He's been in there for 10 years, and he is actually stationed at Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington State. This is a friend of mine's son. We thank you, Tristan, for the 10 years that you have served us with, and look forward to many more. I know you doing what you do, and we thank you, and we highly appreciate everything that you guys do.
yeah.
Uh,
So, yeah, man, Tristan, thank you so much, because we
Thanks, man.
wouldn't be able to do this, and I say that from us at Deck Talk Podcast, and I know Traveler as well.
yeah, let me and
And
let me reiterate something. The Traveler, hey guys, y'all go follow him. He really does put out some great content, especially when he goes live. He does a traveler box. He'll ask he's interactive with his people. He'll even ask you to pick a lure out, and and you get to pick a lure out, and he'll tie it on, throw it if it's not on there. But you know, he does great stuff, and but you know, they're huge supporters of our men and women in uniform. So you guys go give him a follow, and let's blow his lives up.
Yeah. So I want to talk though, in which we said something before we got started that it's going to be not too long, and y'all are actually going to be packing things up and moving, and you know, I mean, I'm looking forward to where's Traveler going next,
I don't
and
even seem like
I
it's been
still
that long.
we're still putting our vote down for Chattanooga. So I don't care what anybody else says, but we have Chattanooga. So um, what? So are y'all excited about the next move?
I
Uh,
am,
and yeah, but and I know it's not time yet. It's getting
and we
close.
don't know. We do not know. He has not revealed it to us. So
You know what?
No,
We don't even know yet.
right,
yeah,
right.
exactly.
Um,
So
so has the pool got narrowed down to where and you don't have to answer like locations, but has the pool got lower down to where we know that it's going to be maybe these four spots it could be? Has it got that close yet?
No, not
So
yet.
So, guys, I'm trying to get this pulled out of him.
Bless you.
And so,
hey,
but
Chickamauga, Nigga Jack, Hell's Bar, it don't matter. We, you know, at Gunnersville, if we can just get you close, that's
yeah,
all we need. Just
I mean,
get you
that's all.
close.
Well, and,
Absolutely.
well, the thing is, Pappy, though, I mean, he really don't have to. I mean, we'd love to have him here for 3-4 months or so, but, you know, I mean, we
Dude,
just
that'd be a
need him to
blast.
give us a day to where we can go take him out. That's what
Yeah,
we
for
need.
real. That's what I'm talking about.
So,
Yeah.
but, so what with all the traveling that you've done and places that you've gone and been able to fish, I mean, because like when you went to Alaska, you was able to stop on the way and be able to fish in different areas and stuff. So with all the
Oh,
uh, let's see,
You got
you
it.
there, Traveler?
yeah, we're back now. There was
Yeah.
something. Well, I didn't even hear your question. You
So
said Alaska.
while he's trying, because I can't see. Oh, there he is. Um, so with all the places that you've been able to, even if just stop and fish for an hour or so, um, where has been the most enjoyable place that you've gone to fish? And it don't have to be because you've caught a lot of fish, but it could be because of the scenery um, or you know, even the wildlife and stuff that you've been
Yep.
and or that you've been able to see. Where's been the most enjoyable place for Traveler that you have gone so far?
The Yukon Territory in Canada.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I mean, because up that area, I mean, there, I mean, you get to, there's so much like fish and stuff that you could fish for up in that area that I think a lot of people kind of overlook that area to fish in. Am I correct?
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. That place has been amazing. But now thinking about it, it was when I got to fish in Banff National Park and like fishing through Jasper and Banff. That was
Oh, yeah,
that was the
yeah.
best.
Um, so have you been able to? And this is kind of one of my things that I enjoy. Like if when I'm on the road and stuff, I enjoy the wildlife as much as I do the fishing. So have you been able to see, like, let's say when you're heading to Alaska, were you able to see like any kind of buffalo and elk and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said, the one video we got out there on over on the talk, whatever. There's a you can look at that video and it kind of gives you a breakdown of all the wildlife we've seen, but absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna have to close this blind here. I'm getting blinded.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
see you keep on saying. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, Pappy, you know, we go and here in the Tennessee area, I mean, we're blessed to be able to see a lot of different wildlife as river otters and beavers and you know, the white-tailed deer. And here the past, Pappy, how long do you think? I mean, within like the past 5 to 7 years, the amount of bald eagles and stuff in our area
Oh wow.
has
Yeah.
been as we're seeing more and more each year, which
Yeah.
is phenomenal.
You know, used to, I can remember when I was a kid, you hardly ever seen them. Like, and when I say area, I mean from Knoxville to Nashville to here, Alabama. You hardly ever seen them, you know. And as I've gotten older, it seems like they've came back and they're it's more and more now, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you something. There's nothing more beautiful than watching a bald eagle soar through the air. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I guess it's just that outdoorsman in me, that patriotic in me, all the above in me. But it is something that is just magical, really, in my eyes. But you know, speaking of different wildlife, and I know, Traveler, you've probably, I mean, I know you've seen an abundance of different wildlife going everywhere that you go, and being in the woods. That when I go like during hunting season, I guess the craziest thing I've ever seen, which is not rare, but it kind of is rare, and I didn't see it with my naked eye, but I did have it on camera, was a mountain lion. And that thing was huge. I mean, I think I showed Colin and I was like, dude, this has got to be the biggest cat I've ever seen in my life. And on camera now, it was to the point to where I almost stopped hunting there because I didn't want to be face to face with this creature because it had some big
Well, you
old
go
paws.
in at nighttime. It's
Yeah,
dark when you go.
Yeah, I mean, and
And
you see the glow of deer eyes, and it'll spook you. I couldn't imagine what cat eyes would be like. But what's the biggest bear or grizzly you have seen?
Probably going through Canada. You know, like I said, there's a video on, like I said, on can I say that
Yeah.
on the site
Mhm.
over on
Yeah,
TikTok?
yeah.
And it was right on the road. I mean, it was eating, like, I don't know if it was eating berries or whatever these bushes were, but it was like right next to us on the road. Just that was probably the biggest one I've seen. You know, we've had, some little bear encounters in Alaska. We've had some bears come out on us fishing. We got stuck up on the mountain by a black bear. But yeah, in person though, that was probably the biggest bear I've ever seen.
Now tell me about that experience. I'm dying to know because there's a lot of guys that I got a lot of buddies that bear hunt, and that's one thing I won't do. I do not dabble in bear hunting. But so what was that like?
Getting stuck on the mountain?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was scary. You know, it was our first time in Alaska, and we drove, and we couldn't bring our noisemakers.
Mm-hmm.
We had to ship them, and by the time we got up there, they hadn't got up there yet. So we got some bear spray, and we were doing a hike on Mount Marathon, and it took us some hours to get up there, and we get up there, and we're hanging out, taking pictures, and we had a little bit of food in our backpack. We had like jerky and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and a couple drinks. We start making our way back down. We get back to the top of the tree line and these switchbacks, and you could see the car like we're close, and I'm tired, man. I'm beat. And she kept going. I said, I'm going to sit here for a minute. And she walked down the switchback and she disappeared. And then she turned back. I look up and she's walking back up real slow. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she goes, there's a bear. And we had just been talking about it. We were joking about it. And maybe that's why we shouldn't have been joking about it. But I looked at her and I went, are you serious? And I could tell by the look on her, the panic.
Yeah.
I kind of walked down. I got around the tree line and it was just sitting right in the middle of the path. And it was looking away from me, and so we're kind of sitting there, and it, because they got awful sight. They're they smell, and it just kind of turned around. It was sitting there, and there was really nowhere to go. I didn't want to go back up the mountain because we just didn't have the energy, and it was a tough hike. Like you were climbing up on things. You know what I mean? It was pretty crazy. And there was a little side path along the way on the mountain. We kind of went down that. Well, it dead ended in this big brush pile, and we were sitting there, being quiet. And maybe that's what our other, problem was. But it stood up, and it was looking over this brush pile at us. So we're clapping, stomping, the bear bells, and it took off running, and it got about 25, 30 yards away. And we were like, okay, we're good. Stopped, turned around, came running right back to where we were because, it knew we were there, and I knew it smelled the food, So there was nowhere for us to go because we were on the backside over this mountain, this little ridge, whatever. And so I pulled out the bear spray, and she's like, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "Well, I'm gonna have to spray this thing, and you're gonna have to run. You're gonna have to try to run." And I pulled out my phone and I called, the 911, and hi, they called. What are you doing? I gave them our location. I said, I'm looking at our vehicle. I can see it. These houses. And they're like, all right. Well, and they within minutes. It felt like hours. Within minutes, the Rangers came and they had it. They pulled out their big. I mean, it moved, but it kind of like walked around like it had like a bead on us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They came up and they like, all right, come behind us, and they walked us down.
Wow.
I couldn't imagine that, buddy. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
How many times did you have to change them drawers, Pappy?
Well, probably one time because I wouldn't have took an extra one, but I might have been walking down butt naked, just to be honest with
you. And they said, normally that when you are in that situation with bears up higher like that, they usually run. But he said they knew that bear. It was a garbage bear.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It smelled the food on us, and the reason that when they made some noise, it didn't do anything because those bears in town, people come out of their back porch, make some noise, and they associate there's nothing wrong. That's not going to do anything. So they continue to be a nuisance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can see how that they could adapt to that too, because I'm sure it's like an everyday thing.
Because what they like to do is they don't like to dispose of them, right? They move them out far. Well, they had moved them up on the back in these mountains. Well, somehow they make their way back. They're like puppies at that point. You feed them and
We got a question that says, do they have salmon up there in Maine?
They do, and that's the one thing when I was fishing down south for the striper, the guy was saying, I think they're Atlantic salmon, and I think he said they're protected.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah.
So can you catch them? Can you catch them when they come back down?
I don't think they come back down.
Well, I know that.
I guess so.
If it's the same way they make the run, they spawn, they're done.
They're done.
Yeah.
They, I know, like here, like with sturgeon and stuff, they're protective, and the spoonbills are protective. And if you happen to catch one, theoretically you're not supposed to take it out of the water.
Right.
But if you was to catch one and to be able to get a photo, you cannot have it out of the water taking 100 photos with it.
Right.
But you can snap a photo and be able to get release it.
Right.
And I'm sure that's how that salmon is there. And I imagine that it's probably the size is nothing compared to what it is up there in Alaska.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I never caught one here before, but
Yeah.
yeah, in Alaska they get pretty big.
So, do you think that one of the coolest things that I've seen that you do is the having that drone and having it go and drop that out in Alaska. That was one of the coolest things that I was like, man, that is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think though that if you had something like that up there, that would be useful?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I think not everywhere. I think you'd be able to utilize that, but
Right.
I think more times than not, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Especially how close we are to the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah, because to me, that's just. It's just thinking of like unique ways to be able to catch fish, and that you could take that sucker out to where, and the people that's fishing that is out of a boat.
Yeah.
And so, but I was just thinking, I was like, man, I wonder, because I know on that lake that you were at, what I was talking about earlier, I don't know. I mean, with not being there and stuff like that, and not being able to see if that would help, kind of just if you got out to be able to fish in that area and stuff. But so let's see. We had some more questions. Here's one. Are there any public campgrounds and boat launches and stuff that let's see, hold on. Scroll back down up. I had another one. Any public campgrounds and boat launches that are in areas to where you can catch a lot of fish?
Yeah, we've been to a couple of the campgrounds, but the few that we've been to, like the one you had to get like vetted, right? The guy, he wanted like a little bit of a background check, and I get it. It's their property,
Yeah.
And that's where we got to go out in the canoe, and I had that stellar day where I caught everything. I caught the PB crappies, and but there's a few boat ramps that I've fished here, but not on live, or because it's just they're real tight,
Yeah.
and maybe now as we're getting towards the later half of the year, the summer, it may be calmer, but like the few days that I went, the one day I couldn't even really fish because there was so much boat traffic. You know what I mean?
Here's another question.
Have you? Oh, go ahead. No,
it says, I am just a bank fisherman. Where has been the best place that you have seen to go and do some bank fishing, because it is tough finding good bank fishing areas?
Are we talking here in Maine or just in general?
I don't know. I'll let you know.
Well,
hopefully, hopefully Jacob will answer back with that.
Yeah, just in general.
I would say in general. Where's been the best place that you... and I would say Florida would probably be one of the areas that's easier to where you can go. And correct me if I'm wrong, Traveler, because I know you can go down those canals and stuff like that and fish down canals, and down there's always you're not too far from any kind of body of water when you're down in Florida.
Yeah, Florida for sure. That hey, we talked about it before. It's getting more difficult
It
with
is.
with them shutting places down for bank fishermen. But believe it or not, Vermont was pretty good too.
Really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there were there
And
were, there were some good spots that I got to fish. Lake Champlain because that was pretty much the backyard almost.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Alaska too, but that's kind of a different beast in itself. But
yeah.
yeah, Florida for sure, Illinois, easy, really good bank fishing. Um, I think probably the most toughest place that I encountered was Texas. That was probably the hardest.
Yeah.
Really?
Very little bank fishing, because
Well, I mean, because like what we see here, it's hard to find unless you go to a park.
yeah,
Um, it is hard to find an area to go and bank fish. And if you go to a park, in which I had this issue here this past week, and to where I was wanting to, uh, I had got some koi keys and stuff, and I wanted to see the difference in between the Wild Hunters Fireball and Six Sense, and I had gotten 4 or 5 different varieties of the koi keys,
right,
and so because I wanted to see the difference in each and every one of them,
right.
and so that's all that I had rigged up on. I had them on 2 different rods, and I was just swapping them out. But when I got to the places to where I would thought that I could go and actually catch fish and stuff, man, there was just so many people there because there is limited. I mean, Chickamauga is, I think, it's like 50, almost 60 miles, and but there's it's just limited areas to where you can go and bank fish. But when I got to the first place, I mean there was 40 people fishing in that little area,
All
and
right.
so um, I didn't really stay too long on it. But when you can find a place, even if it's something where you have to go and hike a little bit, pull off the side of the road and go
Yeah.
do it and make a little hike. If you can find a little gem like that, man, it could be amazing.
But I was gonna say too. Besides Texas, really here has been kind of tough as well.
Yeah. And that was so do you think that fishing up there, if you was to have like a kayak or a little boat or something like that, that would it would have changed the game for you?
100%. There's
So
a lot of spots, that I've tried to fish that have the little kayak launches or the boat launches, with the little kayak slip, it
Mm-hmm.
totally would change everything,
yeah.
Um, and that's something that I've been talking about, and Mrs. Traveling was like, why don't you get a kayak? So that may be something I might be looking into.
That'd be
Yeah.
that would be cool if you did that. I mean,
We may be seeing a kayak on top of the old Durango.
Yep.
well, especially as much as you travel,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could do a mixture of both,
Hmm.
and still be successful, at what you do. But
Yeah.
that would be good.
And that would be a good
I'd
little
love to see that.
series too.
Yeah,
Not trying to push you towards anything, but that would
No.
be a good little series to do videos on, is like how you rig up. I mean, because I mean, for me, I wouldn't want to go and spend a couple $1,000s on a setup and stuff. I mean, but for as much as you go out and stuff like that, I think that
yeah,
you would be able to utilize. But
Yeah.
yeah,
um, you could. A lot of people. I mean, if you look at it from kayak to boat, yeah, they're going to be able to afford more kayaks and stuff. People, just because of cost wise, but you could do like a little series of, like, hey, this is the kayak that I got. It's such and such, and this is how I've rigged it out to be to where, and it don't have to be much at all, but I think that would be kind of a cool little
Yeah,
series deal for you.
yeah, because it's learning something new,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be honest, it'll feel a little bit better. It's been getting a little harder over the years. Been bank fishing my whole life, but doing it at the level I'm doing it now, it's a kayak would be a little bit of a rest.
Now, you touched on it a while ago about and I don't want to drag it out. We've had you on here for a little over an hour now, but I know you touched on it a little bit about it, and we have talked about it in the past about how Florida was getting bad about shutting areas down and stuff like that. Now, are you seeing that in Maine as well?
Not really. Not saying that maybe it's not happening, but I haven't seen it. Any of the places that we've been, it's
Yeah.
Okay.
it's a different vibe up here. Everything's different. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
It's more
Right.
open, and it's not overdeveloped. You know what I mean? At
Right.
least where
Yeah.
we're at. It's like Mayberry, and I'm kind of aging myself by saying that. Like, Andy Griffith and Mayberry, but
I know what you're talking about.
it's that situation. But
I
that
have no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
stop your mind. Easy, Andy. No. But it's good to see. Like I said, every place that we've been, it's been open now.
Right.
What I've seen, that spot that you saw me trying to striper fish at that dam, they're
Yeah.
telling me that's like almost now one of the last spots that you can bank fish for striper, because just right across, the area you guys see me, I guess someone came in and bought it, and they put up condos. Well, now, guys said the couple guys that I was fishing with, 67-year-old dudes, they said they grew up fishing there. It was all open. Now they don't want you fishing over there because of these condos that are
Yeah.
moving in.
Yeah.
And there's another area not far from that, same thing. It used to be open. It was just a big chunk of land. Development company came in and put up fences and no fishing. So it's I'm sure it happens everywhere.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. We got Melanie is in the chat, and
Hello,
she
Melanie.
says hello, friends, and
Our friend, they're up in Alaska. We got to meet
up in
them.
Alaska, yeah.
Yep.
And then we got Real Time Fishing says BC in the house. So I take it that's British Columbia.
Oh, okay.
So
Welcome in BC.
Yep. So thank you for coming in, and Melanie, I want to say thank you for that, and Traveler, and we've talked about it, like how our communities kind of merge together, especially like when we do the podcasts and stuff. But it seems like Melanie is one that I'll always see that's always reposting stuff, especially. Yep. And so I want to say thank you, Melanie, so much. It means a lot to us, and we really appreciate it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, BC, what's up, buddy? How we doing? Different name on here. Yeah, BC, I know him from. You guys probably know him too from TikTok.
Okay. Oh, okay. So it's not British Columbia; it's a name. Okay. All right. I was thinking. I was like, it's BC Fishing. I got you. Yeah.
I should talk to him. He's a big kayak guy too. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can, because we do a lot of boat fishing, but we like to have, maybe we can, BC, send me a message, or Traveler, if you have his contact information or something like that, let's try to get him on the podcast, and let's talk some kayak fishing.
And now he's got a boat. And I think he might be doing some guiding.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the last video I think I saw. So absolutely, yeah, he'd be a great addition to the show for sure.
So we talked to a lot of the pro anglers and stuff like that, and they utilize Google Earth more so than what they like to say.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you go to a different place and stuff like that, do you look at Google Earth much? I think you have said before that you do utilize it some, but did you look at Google Earth and stuff while uh, getting prepared for going to Maine?
What's this Google Earth you speak of? Yeah,
So
it's
it took me
definitely
a second. It took me a second because I was like,
calculating.
well, I was over here thinking, I was like, I
I
know
picked it
he
up.
said something to us about Google Earth.
I picked it up. You could tell who's the slower one.
Hey, I'll just say this: I had to work all night,
I was gonna say,
Good
yeah, I was
Lord.
gonna say, give it to him.
Yeah, here we
and
go.
and
Here, let me
and
give you a cookie.
yeah, and Pappy got to sleep for about 4 hours coming back, and
Mm.
so
But yeah,
uh,
I definitely I'll utilize it for sure. That's a big tool,
yeah,
absolutely. And if you're not, you're missing out.
Yeah, yeah. Google Earth is good on. I mean, if you're just an outdoorsman, period. I mean,
You know,
hunting, fishing, it whatever.
Google
well,
Earth, tackle shops,
yeah,
forums. That's a big
Yeah,
thing for me is the local tackle shops. And
yeah.
and I want to say, and by no means this is a sponsor plug because we're not sponsored by them, but Power Pole has this new product called the Power Pole Vision, and it looks like a unit, but it's almost like a tablet type situation to where you can pull up the web and do whatever, and um, so you could pull up Google Earth and stuff and have it on your boat and be able to go back and look at dates and stuff and see where when
History,
especially like on the Tennessee
history
River where
dates.
the water drops and stuff. And that was one thing at ICAST that we saw that we were like, that there is, I mean, it could be a game changer for a lot of people.
yeah,
But that was one thing. But to be able to have it right there with you while you're trying to go and fish, and be able to find some points and stuff that, well, maybe that you can look back and see, like, well, 2 years ago the water was as low as that it's ever been, and you can kind of go look around the bank and stuff and see, well, maybe there's this big old rock pile that you would not have seen because the water's up above it, and to be able to find it, you'd have to run over it. And so I I thought that was a pretty cool little deal that they had with it.
oh yeah.
So but let's see. Um, Another question says, is there a best time of the day to go and target stripers up in Maine?
Yeah, it's tight. At least, well, I'm gonna assume the same thing, but where we were fishing by that river system, the
Yeah,
tidal 2 hours high tide, after high tide, 2 hours the low tide, and then in between that slack tide, there's usually nothing happening. But that's kind of rule of thumb with when you're fishing tidal waters, or like ocean stuff.
yeah,
It's the tides.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as they get up farther, I don't know because I've never fished for them. Any farther than what I've been doing.
Right,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
well, let's see if I got there's any more questions.
But yeah, but the kayak thing, like I said, I don't know. I definitely, like to look into it more. And if you guys are more familiar with stuff, like I look at Hobie stuff, but we can definitely talk off of here if you know anybody, You know, because I
Yeah.
definitely, I'm not going to go crazy, but I definitely want to get something that's going to make sense for what I do.
Yeah.
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 Um, yeah, I've got a couple people in mind that I know that, I mean,
Hmm.
that's all they do is kayak fishing. And um, I know John Dalton with Creek Fishing Adventures. He's a big kayaker, but he likes using, and you might like watching his content because uh, he's not out there to go and catch like the biggest fish, like how we
Right.
would typically will go. Let's go try to catch, do some bass fishing or whatever. Because he'll go and he'll, if he sees like a little creek or something like that, he'll pull off and he'll just go and do some little micro, use the
Right.
ultralight and go use micro jigs or
Yep.
whatever that he uses to go and catch, and he'll catch some perch, some bluegill, and just a bunch of different little fish and stuff that you really wouldn't think that would be in a little creek like that. And but he does a lot of talking about his kayak and stuff to, and kind of breaks down the reason why he uses what he uses
Right.
and
And
stuff.
that'd
So
be perfect for me. Like I said, the amount of places
yeah,
I could have fished, you know, being on the road like this, if I had something like that, would so that's why
yeah.
I'd like to do it now. Yeah.
So well, we've been on here for almost an hour and 20 minutes, brother. And it's just, and it never ceases to amaze me, like when how fast these podcasts really go.
Yeah.
And Happy and I, we talk about it all the time when we're out on the road. And when you got somebody that you enjoy talking to, it just seems like that hour just kind of just flies right on by.
Right.
um,
Hmm.
is there a place that that you would like to go and fish? Maybe not even just, not that you go there to live, but just go and fish a place.
In the U.S. or just anywhere.
We'll just talk about U.S.
Um, I'd like to get out to Clear Lake,
Yeah,
and throw some big swim baits or glide
I was
baits
about to
out.
say you're gonna throw some big glide baits.
Yeah. And then definitely Montana for some fly fishing. That's on the list too.
Yeah, and I know a guy that he's uh, from Florida, and I'm trying to think of what area. Cocoa Beach area. And but during the summertime, he goes up to Montana and he guides in fly fishing. And
Oh,
so
okay.
he'll go and spend 2 to 3 months up there in Montana fly fishing, and then come back and then guides, uh, do some inland fishing at Cocoa Beach. And so,
Okay.
but that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've never done any kind of fly fishing. I've got a buddy that he's like, man, I'll teach you. And he says, that's all you're going to be addicted to it. And that's all you're going to want to do. So I send him a picture of a 10 pounder and be like, this is hard to beat. And
It
so,
is fun.
but,
It is fun.
um, so what I want, before we let you go, I want to talk about your ultralight setup. Can you talk about it, and like what is your rod length? And I know with being a bank fisherman that it's usually tends to kind of be on the shorter end where it's easier to cast and stuff because you may have some overhang.
Yep.
So what is your ultralight setup and the line that you are using and
It's a
reel?
uh, it's a TFO. It's a 6.6 ultralight.
Yeah.
Got that paired up with the Shimano Vanford 1000 and 6 pound braid to a 4 pound leader.
Also, uh, you are throwing braid to leader.
Yep.
Um,
Mono
is
sometimes and fluorocarbon for other stuff.
Yeah.
yeah. So, is that what makes you want to throw braid to leader?
Uh, Distance, sensitive. That sensitivity. That's a
Yeah,
big thing. Easier hook sets. You know what I mean?
right.
I was just talking to a buddy last night about that. He's old school, and a lot of the things that he throws, it's pretty much mono. And
Right.
he's in Illinois, and one of the last times we were fishing together, it's just I go, man, you got to lean into mono. You
Well,
know
it
what I mean?
stretches so much.
So we had a long conversation yesterday, and he's gonna slowly start to do that. And he got an ultralight set up because of me, and I said, hey,
Right.
go light line. I said you're gonna get frustrated with it, but if you stick it out, you're gonna see all the different advantages to it. Because
Yeah.
at least for me, I feel like things have improved. You know what I mean? Again,
Yeah.
casting distance, sensitivity, ease of hook set. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you're not burning as much line. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's true because it's in which we use braid to leader here as well. Um, and the thing is it's amazing of like all you're really having to do is maybe cut 6 to 8 foot of leader, and then once it gets short enough, and then cut it and just replace it. And so you're really not 6 to 8 feet at a time
Yeah.
is what you're using. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but
The
you
only
are definitely correct though on the sensitivity on things with it, and because there is some bait so that you want to be able to that I've seen um, that you do want to be able to have that mono on there to where it does stretch out,
right.
but um, especially like if you're throwing like a Ned rig and stuff or micro jigs, we've seen to where we like throwing it on braid to fluoro though.
Hmm.
Um, I did have it on some mono, but I was seeing that I was losing more fish because it was not penetrating. The hook wasn't getting in as far
Right.
as to have that hook set.
It's and other stuff. I'm throwing straight fluorocarbon. I've really gotten away from throwing straight mono, but I mean, I know there's a time and a place for it.
There is.
Crankbait, probably deep cranks, but I've found that I can get away with a lot of stuff on straight fluorocarbon, but other things I like to, have that
Yeah,
braid, that leader.
yeah. So, Pappy, you got any more questions, brother?
No, I see it.
So, here's another question I think is interesting. In Maine, do they have slot limits on fish?
Yeah, the stripers. I don't remember what their slot limit was, but was it 32 or 41? I don't know, somewhere around. Maybe not 41, but there's definitely a slot limit, like every other state, you're going to have
Yeah,
limits. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So, and it's interesting to kind of see from state to state, and I know even in Tennessee, there's a lot of stuff that is instead of state to state, it's lake to lake, to where you may go um, to one lake and it just says you just have to have an 18-inch smallmouth. Well, but then you can go to another lake and there is a little bit of slot, anything in that little slot
Right.
that, and so it's interesting to kind of see how the state wildlife is kind of keeping tabs of the fish and trying to help that lake grow and habitat grow. Um, but I do want to say something before I let you go, Traveler. Uh, the last two times that we had talked or had you on the podcast, we talked about Utah, and I wanted to kind of give an update on it. It has passed. It is going to this November. It is on the ballot to vote for if they're going to ban any kind of fishing, hunting, and
It won't
anything that
pass.
comes from a farm.
It won't
So
pass.
I hope
No.
not. I hope not.
There's
And
zero. I shouldn't say that. There's always a chance, but
yeah. Well, we didn't think it'd get this far though
I
either.
mean,
So
I'm not surprised that it got this far.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm not
With,
yeah,
either.
with not
That's
getting into other stuff, but where we're at today,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I could see it getting there. But all I can say is, if it were to pass,
it'd be the worst thing for them.
worst thing, it'll because that'll be the chain effect.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and so, um, but I mean, and it just kind of it breaks my heart, for the people that live there. Utah is a beautiful state.
I thought it was Oregon.
Um, no, you are right. It is Oregon. It is
Okay.
Oregon. But
Either way,
again, either
right.
way, Oregon is I mean, it's a beautiful state in itself, and the wildlife and stuff. I mean, they probably have just as much, if not more, wildlife than Utah.
Yeah,
But
we lived there.
um,
We lived in Portland.
yeah, so but it would that first couple years you may not see a difference, but I guarantee you within 4 to 5 years they will see an overran. You'll start seeing more. They won't see it in the fish aspect of things because of the water, of course,
Right.
um, but like deer and any other
Any?
wildlife that's on land, they will
Yep.
start seeing. I and which Pappy and I were talking about that, and Pappy brought it up, and he can hit on it more. They'll start seeing more animals and stuff with like birth defects and stuff
Right.
from
Mhm.
because I mean it's part of life, and that's the reason why they have hunts and fishing uh, like periods of time to be able to kind of help cull out that to where they can maintain that area, and then you're going to
Right.
have an overabundance of wildlife. That's their only places to come in where the people are.
Right. But
So
I think the main reason, and I really do think, I'd like to really believe that this is true, but I think the big reason, man, they won't say it. They'll word it a different way, but I think the reason it won't pass is revenue.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, when I can remember what we
All
done,
right, y'all gonna have to excuse me a minute. I gotta go.
kick a tire. So yeah, but you're right. When we had you on the podcast last, I think it was um like $6-7 billion a year that they were making
Yeah.
off of just permits, and then off of taxes and stuff for guiding and everything, just for the wildlife area and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, so
But I can't see it. I can't see a state giving up that much revenue.
well, and I don't either, and and it all comes down to money in the long run.
Yeah, we know that.
And whoever's bringing out the biggest pocketbook, is usually going to get what they want.
I mean,
Um,
and when is it supposed to be voted on?
no, this November.
Yeah, I
So
mean, stranger things have happened, but I mean, in my core, I can't see this passing. But if it does, man, we're in
yeah,
trouble.
yeah, yeah, because then it's just going to domino effect to other states, and so. But what what does Traveling Fisherman have plans? Let's just say for the next year. What is your goals for the next year?
I've been thinking about stuff, just revamping a little bit, consistency, getting back into it. I've had this little bit of a gap, and when fishing gets tough, I I I want to get into more series and be more active,
Yeah,
um, and just have start. Not that I'm not having fun, but it just it kind of gets tiring a little bit. You get burned out, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I felt a little bit of a burnout, but I just, I want to revamp. I want to learn more. I want to bring more to to the community, to my followers. But I want to learn. I want to learn swim bait fishing and glide baits, and there's a lot more stuff that I want to learn. Get into some merchandise side of things to bring to everybody. There's that side of things.
And we're close. We're close. I'll just say
You
that.
know,
We're
um,
very close. I was hoping, well, you know what I was hoping. I'll just leave it at that.
but
So,
yeah, man. Just like I said, I want to learn more. I want to bring more to the channel. You know what I mean? And the biggest thing is consistency. It's like I got all these ideas and all these series and all these things I want to do, but it's kind of difficult if you don't have that background in the behind the scenes things. So I'm gonna really hit that a lot harder so I can be more consistent with these things. But I just want to keep moving forward and just learning more and teaching more and learning as much as I teach, right? And
yeah.
just have fun with it, and
Yeah.
and fish with more people and just enjoy it.
Yeah. And that's one thing I think that we all want to be able to, I mean, because when it comes to a point to where, and this is my grandpa told me this, that if it comes to a point to where you think you know everything, is the time that you need to get out. And so,
Yep.
um, and then just the drive of wanting to be able to learn, because in the fishing industry, there's always something that you can do, another technique, another bait, to be able to go catch a fish.
Right.
And um, so if you have, let's say we've got somebody that's listening and or watching that is wanting to try to expand their repertoire of of fishing, what would be your advice? And it don't, I mean, not just on, it could be any kind of technique or any kind of bait. What would be your advice? Like, let's say if they're trying to learn something new.
For 19.99 a month, I could tell them all they need to know. No.
Well, yeah.
No.
Well, but
I'm totally kidding. No. Just you have to time in the water, right? That's the old adage,
yeah,
right? You just if there's something that you see and you like, I mean, I've talked about this a lot. There's so much information out there, right? Information that we didn't have at our
yeah,
fingertips back then. Just
correct.
get into it. Don't get discouraged because that's a big thing. I've barely even scratched the surface, not even at all with glide baits and swim baits. But it's if you have that passion and desire for it,
Yeah,
do it.
yeah.
Do it.
Well, and excuse me, um, you're part and of, I guess you say, a part of a company. You promote them a lot. Um, that I think that can help out new anglers, and that's where I thought that you was going when you said 1999. I
Oh,
thought this is where you was going, but um,
but
the
that's
monster bass boxes,
yep.
those I had them for about 3 years. I was getting them once a month, um, and so then it got to where when we got sponsors for the podcast and stuff, I really didn't need it, but it got to the point to where like I was getting it, and if I ran into somebody, I was able to I was giving them away, and for kids, because I want people to be able to learn stuff, and in those monster box, uh, the boxes, like you get a bunch of it, you definitely get your money's worth out of
Yeah.
the baits. But one thing that I really enjoyed is the little flyer and stuff that is in it,
Yep.
because then it breaks down. Let's say you've got a shaky head or something like that. You'll get the jig, but then you also will get a trailer to go on it. But then on that flyer, it will say, "Hey, this is how you need to fish it." It
Right.
tells you how, but it is also like, let's say for us, you put in like the southeast and stuff, and you can put in the area, so you're not sending. They're not sending something that you would fish up there in Maine
Right.
to have somebody fish down in the south, because typically
Right.
the baits will not, you won't do as well.
You're not getting
Uh,
a 10-foot deep diving crankbait because if you're right. No,
right,
it's
right,
been
right.
great. And I'm glad you brought that up because again, that's and with monster bass because I've used other boxes over the years.
Yeah,
With monster bass, if there's something in there that you really enjoy, you can get it. You can typically go to a store, or you
yeah,
can you can get those things. But it's I mean, I have a bunch of them. I've been and that's the Ned rig thing that I put together. Kind of that the light bulb went off, and I've fallen in love with this new technique and this certain soft plastic. But it gives you an opportunity to grow and push yourself and learn things.
yeah. Um, and so, do you happen to have a code for that?
No,
Okay,
not my own.
okay,
And the one that I do have, I don't know if it's for everybody, so I can look into that though.
okay. Yeah, because I do. If you did, then was gonna have it to where we plug your code and um,
Yeah, not yet.
the um, let's see. BC Fishing says the only thing I throw on a spinning reel is braid. So um, most of our stuff is on a spinning reel is braid, braid to mostly fluoro.
Yeah.
But hey, Pappy, we're almost hitting an hour and 40 minutes, and we've got one question that we've asked Traveler probably 4 times already, and do you want to ask our last question?
Yeah. Traveler, well, first of all, it's great to see you again and have you on the podcast. And
Appreciate it as
I,
always.
I,
Thank you.
I, I can't wait till the next one. But, so if there was one person that you could fish with, whether they're here or not with us today, who would that person be and why?
You know, I've answered this before a few times, and I always said, I always go back to my dad. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a given. I think a lot of
Mm-hmm.
us probably go there that no longer have someone
Yeah,
like that. But outside of that, like I said, the one guy that I think I've resonated with a lot, and it's not going to be who everybody thinks. Because don't get me wrong, I love Bill Dance. I grew up watching him. He's a legend. But it'd be Rick Clunn. Oh, Rick Clunn.
Oh yeah,
I've
he's a
learned a
good one.
lot off of him, and I love listening to him. And at the level that he had been fishing at right towards the end, it's super inspirational, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how he fished as competitive though as long, you know, as what he did either. So
Yeah,
um, and I think kind of go on that aspect as well. Hank Parker, I mean, I'd love to be on the boat with Hank Parker, and just to have a conversation with him, you know, uh, to hear some of the stories that I've heard him say, because him and Dale Earnhardt Sr. were good buddies,
yeah,
and so to kind of hear just the stories and of things that have happened to him in the fishing industry, and then being buddies with Earnhardt would definitely be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So
sure.
um, I want to ask um, the people to comment in, where do you think, I'm taking advantage of having Traveler on here just to be able to get more comments, but where do you think Traveler is going next? And if somebody puts in the comments where Traveler is going and they get it correct, which is going to be, we won't know until what, probably another month and a half or so. Is that about right?
I mean, I would say probably in the next few weeks.
Okay, so it's going to be within the next few weeks. We're going to keep tabs of the comments and stuff in the podcast, and if you get it right, we will send you. Uh, we've got some baits that we're going to send you, and so we'll make sure that we get that taken care of. Because let's see,
Very
where
cool.
you think. Uh, we already have BC Fishing says he's coming to Arkansas to get in my boat. So who knows? Who knows? But we're gonna get off here, and next week, we've got a another killer episode. We've got Brandon Dowdy from Southern Outdoors TV show based out of Nashville, Tennessee. He's coming on, and I think he's bringing his counterpart with him. So we're going to be talking about fishing. They do a lot of catfishing, so we're going to talk about some catfishing. But we're going to allow Pappy to kind of to dig in, and it may be an episode that Pappy's going to be kind of running the show because they do a lot of hunting, and so we know what here at the beginning of next month, hunting season is going to be cranking up for a lot of people. So Pappy may be in heaven with talking to somebody besides me about hunting, because I have no clue. And all I know is when I got home today, I had an 8-pointer in my backyard with 3 does. So that's all I know. So,
Yep, that's
but,
all I need to know.
and so, but guys, make sure. Melanie's cheating said somewhere on Earth. So she's cheating a little bit. But man, Traveler, man, it is all the time is an honor to be able to have you on. I'm excited to see where your next adventure is. And I want to do like what we did last trip, to be able to kind of sponsor. Deck Talk wants to sponsor Where's Traveler Going as well, and we will draw something up, and we may be sending out some koi keys. So
There you go, y'all.
But
Get in, drop the comments. Come on.
yeah. So, but Traveler, man, thank you so much for coming on. It's always
Absolutely.
a pleasure to be able to have you on, and so I will definitely be reaching out, because from what I know, we are very close to being able to get something done for you. So,
Hey, no, Rome wasn't built in a day, my friend. No need to rush.
so, all right, guys, remember, God loves you as if you're the only person in this world to love, and we will see you next week, guys.
Yeah.